Hello, and today we'll be discussing the carpal bones, or what we call as the basipodium or ossa carpi. And usually, the carpal bones or the carpals in case of animals are homologous to that of man or humans. And these bones are basically classified as the short bones and arranged in two rows. One of the row will be attached towards what we call as an radius and ulna. These will be the proximal row, and one row will be the distal row. So let us see the number of the carpal bones in case of animals usually vary because some of the carpal bones will be fused, some will be absent. The normal number of the carpal bones in case of humans usually is 8, but in case of animals, if you talk about ox, goat, and sheep, the number of carpal bones are usually 6. And in case of horse, usually they are 7 to 8 because one is inconstant. Then pig, dog, and pig it is 8, dog and cat it is 7. Then the rabbit it is 8, and one of the central carpal is present in case of rabbit. Then it becomes 8 plus 1. Then in case of the poultry or in case of the fowl, it is only 2 carpals, that is ulnar and the radial carpal. But often the students found it confusing to identify the carpals because these bones are short bones and very having the many surfaces. And when you look about the carpal bones, usually the first how they are arranged. So this is the distal extremity of radius and ulna, and usually these are the articular facets what we talk about, oblique articular facets of radius and ulna, where these carpal bones will be attached. And to this area of radius and ulna, the four carpals will be attached, and that four carpals usually form the proximal row. So here, this way it is a medial side, so here will be the radial carpal, here will be the ulnar carpal here, and this is the stellate process of ulna. So here the ulnar carpal will be attached, and just back side of the ulnar carpal, when it's attached here, there will be the one more carpal attached, that will be the accessory carpal. So the first row, what we call as the proximal row, usually four carpals are there. Then the second row, where the carpal for proximal and distal row will articulate, they will be having, in case of ox and sheep goat, usually there are the 6 carpals. So in here in front of me you can find there are 1, 2, 3, and this is 4, and these are the 2, 5, and 6. So 6 carpals are there, and you will have the radial carpal name as in the proximal row. You have the name as a radial carpal, ulnar carpal, intermediate carpal, and accessory carpal. Then in the second row, it will be fused 2 plus 3, and the fourth. So the normal should have been in the distal row as 1, 2, 3, 4, but the first carpal in the distal row is absent in case of sheep, goat, and ox. So, but how to identify? Because each carpal, barring this accessory carpal, the rest of the 5 carpals will be having the 6 surfaces, and these are somewhat irregular bones having the irregular surfaces. But by looking one or the 2 surfaces of each carpal, you can identify which carpal this is. So let us take one of the carpal. So in my hand there is this carpal. This is basically the radial carpal, and why it is called as a radial carpal? Because there will be some of the feature to this radial carpal. And if you look out the surface of this carpal, one of the surface will be this surface. So this is one surface, this is one surface. So altogether there will be 6 surfaces. So this surface is towards the head side, and here the terminology of the carpals will change, and it is basically, this surface is basically called as, this surface is basically here called as a dorsal surface. And just back side of this surface, what you look here, this surface, so this is the back side of this dorsal surface. Towards the tail side, here you call it as a palmar surface. Then this becomes the distal surface. Distal means towards the radius, where it will articulate. This becomes the ventral surface. This becomes the surface where it will be articulating with one more carpal bone, that is the intermediate carpal will follow this. Then this will be the medial most surface of this bone. So altogether there will be 6 surfaces, 1 and down 2, and then palmar, then dorsal, then there's medial, and this is the lateral surface where the intermediate carpal will be attached. So if you look out the surface where it is attached towards the radius and ulna, so the best way to identify this carpal is that because the surface is somewhat concave convex. So here it is concave convex area, here it is concave area. So look out one of the surface that it will attach. If you look out here, how it will be attached to the radius here. So this will be the radius carpal, and it will be attached like this. So this surface you have, so the radius by which it is contacting to the radius, you have to look out that surface. So this surface you have to look out, and it will be concavo, convexo concave. So this is convex and this is concave area. So still there is one more feature, and if you look out, it is this surface. So what is the dorsal surface? It is broad. So it is broad as compared to it is palmar surface. If you look out, this is somewhat narrower. So two characters are there. One of the area is one of the character is this convexo concave, and broader dorsal, and narrower palmar surface. So by this way you can identify this is a radial carpal. Coming to the second carpal. So how to identify the intermediate? So likewise of the radial, intermediate will be also having the six surfaces. One way it will be connecting towards the radius, one will be connecting towards the ulnar, one will be the dorsal, one will be the palmar. Just look the surface by which it is connecting to the radius. That means, so here it will be the intermediate attached like this. So you have to see the connecting surface here. So this surface we have to look out, and if you see the outline of the surface, if you see the outline of the surface, the outline of the surface, if you go the outline here, outline resembles like that of a bicycle seat. Look clearly, it looks like a bicycle seat. So the surface that is towards the radius, connecting surface towards the radius, so what you call is a distal surface. Distal surface, this is this resembles like that of a bicycle seat, plus the this area, what you call as the dorsal surface, is broader as compared to that of a the palmar area, but that is somewhat same feature in case of radial. So the best way to identify is this surface, which is a bicycle seat shaped. So this is the intermediate carpal. Coming to the ulnar one. So this is the ulnar one. So ulnar one, here it is a styloid process of ulna. So ulnar one will be attached here. So ulna will be attached here, and you have to look out one of the surface of the ulna where this facets are oblique. So if you look out here, the facet is oblique, articular facet is oblique. It goes, starts from the distal surface, then goes outwards. So this will be, this facet, this oblique nature of this surface will be on the lateral aspect. So this will be on the outwards, and you have to look out only this whenever you find this surface in any type of the carpals. So this is of this is bone is the ulnar carpal, plus this bone is the most irregular bone among all the carpals. So you have to identify this articular facet that goes oblique, plus this is the most irregular bone, plus there will be the one articular facet for the attachment of accessory carpal, because accessory carpal will be attached here. So this is the articular facet on the back side where the accessory carpal, you have accessory carpal here. So accessory carpal will be attached here. So there will be a single facet here in the accessory carpal. Facet will be on the articular facet will be on the ulnar carpal where it is attached to this ulnar. So by which you can identify this ulnar. Look the oblique articular facet that is always on the outside or the lateral aspect, and you can identify these three bones. If you see 2 plus 3 and 4, so this is 2 plus 3 and 4. So 2 plus 3 is basically, this big one is 2 plus 3. Basically this is the fused of 2 plus 3 carpal, because the first carpal is absent in case of sheep, goat and ox, and this is the fourth one. Fourth one is smaller. So among all the carpals what you see in case of ox, sheep and goat, this 2 plus 3 is the largest among the all. Among the 6 carpals, this 2 plus 3 is largest. But if you see only the proximal row, the radial carpal is the largest. So whenever you find all the carpals, this 2 plus 3 is big. When you find the proximal row only the radial carpal is largest. So 2 plus 3 usually will have two articular facets. One will be bigger, one will be smaller. This bigger is usually for the radial carpal. Here the radial carpal will articulate. This smaller, and the part of the articular area from the fourth carpal, so this area usually is for the intermediate carpal. So the intermediate carpal usually fuses with the two distal carpals, part of 3 and 4, part of 2 and 3, and part of 4th. Then there is one more articular facet here, this one. So you can see here there are two articular facets. So this is for ulna, this area and this area is for intermediate, this whole big area is for radial. So whenever you want to put this to which side this will belong, Just put this big area, this big articular area of the second and third on the medial aspect. Then accordingly you will decide to which side these carpals will belong. So here you have articular facets, two in number here in both the carpals, but only thing the intermediate carpal will articulate both 2 and 3 and the fourth. So by this way you can identify the carpals of ox, and these are classified as irregular bones and homologous to that of the wrist bones. Thank you. The comparison of different animals we can go for next class. Thank you.